What's up, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Pair Theory Podcast. With me, as always, Mr. Craig Youngblood. Today, we have a very special guest in the house. Everybody, welcome in Mr. Doug from Fear Fanatics, the YouTube channel. If you guys have not checked out his stuff, man, it is great. And I know Craig and I have a load of questions for him today. So, from one YouTuber to another, man, what's going on, bro?
Hey, I'm just happy to be here. Thanks for having me on, guys. I really appreciate it.
Dude, yeah, absolutely. Man, let's skip the bullshit and just get right into it.
Right,
Anything kind of goes on this show, man. So if you got questions for us, fire away.
I will do that.
Let's just go with what got you started in the paranormal world.
I think it was probably Ghost Adventures, believe it or not.
Really?
Yeah. I can't think of anything before that it might have been, but we started watching Ghost Adventures, and I became a huge fan of that show. And they did a show at Bobby Mackey's, and that's literally about a mile from my house where I grew up.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So I never got to go there. It's demolished now, but I always thought it was interesting.
So wait,
that was their first show.
You're telling me that they did demolish Bobby Mackey's? Like it's gone?
It's gone. Yeah.
Shit.
Yeah.
We didn't know if it was or not.
Yeah. It's been gone for a couple months now. They had an auction. They tore out everything inside, auctioned everything off, and sadly tore the building down. I don't know what they're going to do now with that land, but it's gone. Sadly.
That's horrible.
Yeah, it is.
That's horrible.
But I saw the original Ghost Adventures documentary, and then the first episode was actually from Bobby Mackey's, I believe. And so, excuse me, I thought this is pretty cool, dude. Like these guys are like just going out and like investigating these scary locations, and I always thought that would maybe be something that I would want to participate in sometime. So that's really how I got into it. I didn't really do anything like that until a few years ago. I went to the Villisca Axe Murder House in Iowa.
Yep.
And we rented that place and stayed the night. Man, it's spooky, dude. Have you ever been there before?
We haven't gotten the chance to go yet, but on the Pair Theory list, that is definitely one of them.
Yeah, that's a spooky place. I mean, you walk in there's only one door that works, and it's a kitchen door, and it's like very creaky. So the moment that you open the door and walk in, you can feel it, man. It's like a dread that comes over you, like this whole vibe. It's just pretty, like, considering what happened there,
Totally.
All those people that got killed there. So it's just like this feeling that you can't shake, but the whole time that you're there. So that was pretty cool. And then we did do some investigating there, but I didn't really record it. And because I didn't really think about having a channel later on, all these years later.
Sure. So I guess really the answer to that is you got into the investigation part just for purely the investigation. I mean, it's not for a show. It's you had questions of your own you wanted answered.
Exactly. And I'm pretty much a skeptic when it comes to like the paranormal. So I did hear, like, I left a voice recorder going in Villisca, and we went and got some dinner. And then when I came back, I was listening to it, and it almost sounds like you can hear like pennies dropping, like the whole time. Not the whole time, but like, periodically throughout the recording. And I thought that was very weird, but I didn't really experience anything other than that at like anything paranormal other than the recording at Villisca. It's just a very weird feeling that you get when you're there.
When you heard that back on the recording, did you ever see the movie? What was it? Down Periscope. Remember the comedy?
I don't think so.
Or he had like subsonic, like he could hear everything, and they were like in a submarine.
Right.
He's like, they're right above us. Somebody just dropped $1.35.
Right. That's how I felt. I'm like, who's dropping these pennies? Where are they? No, but I don't know. I guess I don't know what it was. I don't know what it was. But
being a skeptic, this happens, and it's you. Was anybody there with you?
It was just me and my buddy were there, and he was drinking, and he's like, I'm going to sleep. I'm like, you're not going to sleep. It's like, 1 o'clock in the morning, bro. Like, there's a car kept driving by outside, the same car. And I'm like, this place is known for, being rented out and people coming here to investigate. And I'm not going to be the only one, up, this late at night with his car being freaky and stuff. So I made him stay awake. But have you ever been to Post Town? That's another like place.
Mm-mm.
I don't
Nope.
think Ghost Adventures has been there, but I think the Ghost Brothers have been there,
Yep.
and they did a show there. But we went there before they did. I've been there about 4 or 5 times, and the first time that we went, again, I wasn't recording because I didn't have any, inkling that I was going to do a show or anything, or have a channel later on. So it was about 5 of us, and there's 3 floors. We walked up to the third floor, and there's a room called the Mean Teacher's Room. And so I said, okay, I'm going to leave this, voice recorder. I didn't have that much equipment at the time, and I just left it up there. And you can hear us, everybody walking away, and like going downstairs. And then, like a half hour later, you can hear us on the recorder come back up, and like I grab the recorder and just turn it off. So there was only 5 of us there, and everybody, believe me, everybody was too afraid to go off by themselves in the school, because once you're there, it's a different story. You don't want to go out and venture off too far without everybody. But I didn't even listen to it until I got home because it was such a long recording. And then when I played it, like I was looking at the waveform, you can see where everybody leaves, and then it's very flat when there's no sound at all, except for the ambience of the room. And then all of a sudden you see these 2 spikes, and I fast forwarded over to the spikes, and I swear you can hear 2 lockers slamming, and there was nobody up there. So I can't explain that. And then after that, I was like, oh, this is kind of crazy. I opened myself up to it a little bit more. And so yeah, I think if you do that, and you're willing to believe that maybe something's out there, then I think maybe more stuff will happen to you. Because I had a really crazy experience the last time we went there too.
So that would lead me to my next question is, when you, as a skeptic going in, and then you capture something that 100%, this wasn't me, this wasn't the company I'm in, this is beyond what was in the room with us.
Right.
At that point, your brain's got to go, well, either something caused this, or it's something that we're that thing that we're trying to find, that paranormal thing. We've had that happen plenty of times.
I'm 100% positive that none of my friends were upstairs. And really, when I heard it, I got goosebumps all over my, arms.
Sure.
And I called my friend immediately, and I sent him the clip, and I said, you have to listen to this, man, because we weren't up there. And he was just like blown away too. He was like, and he's a true believer, now after that. And,
Right.
I want to believe, and things keep happening that, it's kind of hard to deny, that there's something going on.
Yeah, man. Well, I think Craig sits a lot in your seat with that, because he's, pulling Craig into Paratheory was not really a challenge, but just it was good to have him there, because it was a very skeptical mind, as we're, I'm, as much as I am a believer, I'm still a skeptic into things.
Right.
It's like going in, if something happens, I want to know what made that happen.
Right.
I like sitting in a room and feeling the room out for a good 30, maybe an hour of
Right.
Hear the house. What is this place or home or building or room that we're in? What are these noises that are about to take place? Because this is foreign. We don't know.
Right.
We live here. We haven't been here but 3 hours.
Yeah.
And it also depends on the time of year, whether it's cold or hot, or, is the room going to expand? Is the heater going to kick on?
Right.
What does that sound like when the fridge turns on? What does it sound like when the AC turns on? So you hear those little things happening, and then it's repetitious, and it happens again and again. You're like, okay, well, that was
right. Yeah, you can debunk that.
Right.
But, when we're at Post Town, and if you walk through there with just one other person and you're very quiet, you can hear things. Like, you can hear things coming from rooms, and you walk in there, and it's like, you don't see anything or hear, and it stops. But Post Town's pretty, there's 3 floors, like I said before, and walking around there by yourself will definitely give you chills. There's like a story of a young girl that fell to her death from the 3rd floor, and she hit she fell all the way down the stairwell in the middle, like where there's nothing. And the last time we were there, I didn't know her name, the girl's name, but we had the spirit talker going. Now, I know people some people don't like the spirit talker and they think it's just baloney. But like, when it says something that makes complete sense, as far as what you're doing and what you're investigating, then you have to give it a little bit of credit, because out of all the names that it could have spat out, it said Sarah.
Right.
I didn't know that was her name until I got home and looked it up. What's her name? That the story of the girl who fell down and in a tragedy at Post Town, and there's articles about it. Her name was Sarah, so that was just very strange. How can you explain that? We're standing in the spot that it happened. So the spirit talker is kind of freaky sometimes.
Yeah, I've got my own qualms with apps like Necrophonic, Spirit Talker,
Right.
stuff like that. I studied a lot into those apps, trying to figure out like the maker, where they come from, what they're using. And what I found out about those things, as much as what they're personifying to do, saying that we're just like a SB7 or 11 or
Right.
spirit box, right? They're using whether you're on Google or Apple, it's using your library. Okay. So let's say there's another team, big team, Twin Paranormal, right? They thrive off the spirit talker. Like
Right.
You don't get 30 seconds into their show, into the investigation, before they're pulling that thing out.
Right.
They base a lot of their show off of that, which I wish they wouldn't, because
Yeah.
I think they're capturing so much more shit, but they're turning a mountain into out of a molehill from this
Right.
app. And what the app is doing, and what a lot of people don't realize that it's doing, when you go in with your phone, you go in with your phone and you'll do the thing where you say, okay, I'm going to put it on airplane mode, and I'm going to disconnect it from the world, and I'm going to turn on the spirit talker.
Yeah, because it's not supposed to listen to you, right? It doesn't
Correct.
have the listening capabilities.
The entire time that you've been traveling, going to this place, once you stop, it doesn't matter where you're at. It could be at the gas station.
Mm-hmm.
And if you were to turn it on, if you were to do this at the gas station, middle of the day, and you put it on airplane mode, you turn the app on and roll with it, it'll bring up something about gas station.
Really interesting.
It studies where you're going. It's like it's following your map, right? So if you're at an address and you're there for, let's say an hour, 30 minutes,
Right. Right.
whatever, it's going to study that area that you're in, and it's going to pinpoint where you're at. By the time you put it on airplane mode, it's already some kind of knowledge of where you are. So it's going to PowerPoint bring up death, ghost, spirit,
Right.
Sarah, Crystal Lake Studios, whatever.
But I mean, it was throwing out names before that, right?
Right.
Like in the cafeteria and things like that. But how do it's hard to explain away that it gave me that specific name when I was standing right at that spot, which was, so my point was, sometimes it's very freaky. It'll spit something out like, that has something very specific to what you just asked or what you just were doing a second ago. That's when I find it like really weird, because sometimes, it just spits out random words and it does make sense. It'll be like jungle, and I'll be like, what? It doesn't make sense.
What was the what? Oh, was it we pulled out the necrophonic.
Yeah.
Is it? Yeah.
Oh, really? Yeah. Yeah. We take the REM pod when we go to like Post Town and Ghost, when we're going to try to communicate with spirits. Now I usually go with sometimes I'll go with like Exploring with Bear. He has his own YouTube channel.
Yep.
And I'll go with him to places. Now I don't think that he likes getting into the spirit stuff too much anymore, so he's getting into more of like cryptid videos and stuff like that. But I still like to do the spirit talker and the REM pod when I go to those places, because I just feel like it adds a little bit more to the video itself. But whether it's real or not, who am I to say?
Right. I dig that PS device, man. That thing's crazy. That thing's all it's working off of is EMF. It's working off,
Mm-hmm.
and then it's got its own library,
Okay.
and so it's using EMF to talk through
Is
the
this sort of like a
library.
spirit talker?
No, it's like an Ovilus,
Obulus.
but like on steroids,
Okay.
and you can adjust how much,
Does
like
it go?
how no,
Is that the
it's
one you're
just
talking about?
no, it's kind of yay big.
Okay.
It's orange and black. It's made by Paraforce,
Okay. I don't
and
think I've seen that piece of equipment, but I'll look it up.
Project Fear uses it quite a bit.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and it's especially on this last episode that the team did. They're over in the UK, and man, it just starts pinpointing. And we've been in the room with this thing 100 times, and it's pretty intense because
Right.
it'll start spouting off shit that you're like dead on the money, and but
Yeah.
then it won't do nothing. It'll just sit
Yeah.
nothing for hours,
Right.
and we
Yeah.
won't have anything come through. But when it does answer, say again, say again. Yeah, yeah, yep. Which was, that was pretty intense because it was we were on basically property where an Indian tribe battle had taken place,
Mm.
and so that kind of made sense because it didn't. I don't think what was out there knew what it was.
Right.
It was copying what we were doing and make it was just it was a that was a really weird deal. Um, so your channel, let's get into Fear Fanatics.
Okay.
I went back to some of your earlier stuff and I pulled up some of it here. I wanted to show a little bit of it.
Okay.
Let's see. I think it's this one. I'm gonna pull it up on the screen here.
Okay.
It's Urbex gone wrong.
Yeah.
Um,
I love these videos.
oh, why is this now doing this? Let's see. Oh, sorry, it was blocking the deal. So
Complexity will be more than some wish to be exposed to.
actually, I think this is the 5 terrifying. Hold on a second. I gotta find the other one. I had it pulled up here. Here we go. Yeah. Is this it right here?
Oh my gosh, look at that. Did you see that? That's
Yeah.
back when
I
hit
saw where
houses.
it said yeah.
That's funny.
I think this is the one.
Oh, is this Urbex Hill?
Yeah, I believe so.
Yeah. This
Yeah.
is crazy. This is a crazy video. He doesn't cut away. Like, look at this footage. He doesn't cut away.
Yeah, he
Like, he
stays with
literally,
it.
yeah. And then he goes in the room and there's no one there. I don't know. I can't explain that video, but it's
What
very creepy.
what I want to know is like besides the obvious, I mean,
Mhm.
I think it's really cool how you present the audio, like even audio here, like where you're talking,
Right.
where you do the overdubs and then you're talking
Yeah.
about the video. Man, it's really cool that you do this because um I just want to know how, like, what gave you the idea to get into, you know,
Okay. It was 2020, and this is before he sees the face, right? He hasn't seen the face yet in this video, right?
right.
Okay, so he goes upstairs, and I think when he comes back down, he sees the face. In 2020 during COVID, there was not a lot to do. Nobody was leaving their house. I was watching a lot of Chills videos. Do you remember him? Yeah,
Yep.
he's still around, I'm sure. I was watching a ton of Chills videos, and then like in 2021, I was still watching Chills videos, like because I just love these scary videos like this, and I was really entertained by this stuff because I'm also a filmmaker,
Right.
and I do like horror, shorts and things like that. So I was thinking I like the way he does this, and I'm gonna see, I think I can do this.
Oh shit.
So
Did it go away? We're still here. Okay, there we are. Go
so
ahead.
I started doing these. I call my buddy up. I'm like, hey, I think I'm gonna start a YouTube channel. And he said, "Oh, you are? I think you'd be good at that." So I said, "Yeah, I think I'm gonna do like scary videos from the web, like sort of like Chills does, but I'm gonna make my videos a little bit longer and like talk like in between, like the good parts and excuse me. And I said, what do you think my first video should be? And he didn't really know or have an opinion, so I got up and watched some more videos, and I found this camping video. It was just like so like Blair Witchy, and I know you like these urbex and I do too. But the very first video that I put out, I called him up and I said, hey, I think I'm going to do a creepy camping video. And he goes, oh, I don't think that's going to work. And I said, really? And he said, yeah, I don't think that's going to work. People, I don't think people are going to think that's very scary. But to me, like the creepy camping videos are like the scariest videos on the internet because they have this little sense of realism, like, I'm not saying any of these videos are fake, but I would never do that. But I'm not there to tell people whether they're real or fake. I'm just here to present them to you and then you watch them and you can make
Right.
up your own mind. But as a narrator, I think that's, it's not my job to do that. So, I did made this creepy camping video and that was my very first video and I put it up and it didn't do anything. I sat there because I didn't have any subscribers. And I thought, okay, I'll just keep making these videos because I felt like if I keep at it, I could maybe, maybe one day somebody will see my videos and they'll start getting more views and all that. But it's out there I kept making videos. I made like a ring cam video, scariest ring cam videos I thought was good, but like it's got the least amount of views. But there's something scary about someone on your porch, and you're recording it. That I thought that was pretty scary. And then the urbex videos, of course, and chased out of abandoned buildings and all that stuff. And the urbex videos I find really interesting, especially when there's people in there. Here's the part.
Yeah, I think this is it where he sees the face. Sort of like,
Yeah. He didn't realize he had captured this until he got home.
What
Explain to
the
me in
fuck?
the comments what you think.
yeah, dude. I look. Here's the deal. If I'd have seen this, if I was in a building and saw this, I'd have shit my pants.
You
But
gotta
he
run
didn't
me
see it
over.
though. He didn't see it. Well, did he see it?
No,
I
he
think he
didn't.
may.
See,
Maybe he
he's
think it
even talking
was.
about like, are you
Yeah,
saying?
but I think he goes in there for some reason. I can't remember. This is video so old for me, but that's pretty freaky. That's very freaky to me.
Dude,
I would run my ass off. I'd
I
leave
mean,
that.
if dude, listen. Well, let's just say that if that came to be a thing, like I'm fucking
Yeah,
out.
exactly, bro. I'm not waiting for anything. Bye. I'll probably leave my camera and everything.
I mean, yeah, everything gone.
Is
Ain't
that the piece of equipment you were telling me about?
Yes,
yeah,
sir.
Pretty.
that's the
Yeah,
PS
that's pretty
device.
cool.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
I'm
No,
not turning it on here. I've had too much shit happen lately, so
Right.
Craig's had some shit
I
going
don't
down
want
down in his house lately.
Like I'll
I
turn
don't
my
want
spirit
any.
talker on at my house and it just won't say anything and I'll turn like the every once in a while I'll spit a word out. But then I'll turn the REM pod on, at my house and it just won't do anything. But it's gone off a lot at like Post Town and stuff.
There was the video we talked about last week, and it kind of raised some questions. It was on your 5 terrifying explorers gone wrong video. That you
Yeah. Right.
and then of course the one where they crawled out in the cubby hole, and we
Yeah,
were
yeah,
making
yeah.
comments on that like, first of all, don't ever do this. This is a
Yeah.
terrible idea.
Yeah, it was horrible. I
Um,
watched that podcast that you guys did about that. Yeah, when there's only one way in and there's one way out, and and they continue to like sneak into these places, you might not be able to get back out as quick as you hope.
Not to mention,
Sometimes.
dude, like I know Craig's got a question for you too, and it's
Yeah,
in relation to this. And so
yeah.
I don't want to overstep bounds here and ask because I know he's going to ask it, but you know, Craig, go ahead and fire away with that question.
Do y'all carry anything to protect yourself?
Yeah.
That's one of them. And then some of these guys I see going on the solo camping stuff like that,
Mm-hmm.
their flashlights are not bright. Like I
Yeah.
don't get it. Like
That
there's a
those are
video of
two of
our
the.
do what?
I was just gonna say those are the two of the biggest questions that people ask me on my channel. They're like, why don't these people carry, you know, and protection and why don't these people get a brighter flashlight? Like it's all the time in the comments, like all the time.
I would bet, man, because I mean, I know Craig, dude, he'll buy like
I got like 5 on me at all times.
Yeah.
yeah,
Flashlights.
yeah. He'll get me a
Yeah.
little present sometimes. He'll be like, here's a yeah, I got you something. And it's like this little tiny
Yeah.
key ring. And then I'll turn it on and it's like 5 million candle watt. I'm like, how the hell
Oh
is
yeah.
this little
That's
thing,
pretty cool.
you know? But
I need a bright one. I need to invest in like a really, really bright flashlight.
man,
There's one that
It makes your
I
video
have an
look good
Olight.
too.
I have an Olight that we're doing the Waples, and we're sitting in the living room, and instead of being in night vision, we're in color. It's my flashlight. I turned it on and shined it on the ceiling, and it lit the whole room
Oh
up
yeah.
like daylight.
That's
like
pretty
daylight.
cool.
Yeah. And that fucker gets hot.
Yeah.
Like it is burning.
Probably burn your finger.
Things. What you got there? German Shepherd in the back?
Yeah, he's running around.
Yeah. Nice, man. I got one
I
as well.
take him with me sometimes.
There you go. Ain't nothing like a dog's reaction to things, man.
Right.
Yeah.
Talk about taking yours.
I love to take Ava out, man. I love it. You know, we get her out on some turn her. I'd like to turn her loose inside of Waples. She'd probably be chasing raccoons out of that. I got some questions here. Okay. So on your solo experiences,
Mm-hmm.
you started doing some solo camping.
I've only done one. So
Only done one. Okay.
Yeah.
What was your what's been your what I mean, what was the because there's nothing like opening up yourself for being going solo.
Yeah.
Like, solo, you're just wide open.
Solo camping is terrifying. I don't care if nothing happens. It's still terrifying. You're out, you know, in the middle of the woods and in the dark, and it's very, like, you know, sort of like Blair Witch. The reason I did that was because, you know, I see my buddy Bear does it all the time, and those videos get, you know, a lot of interaction, and so I included that in a poll on my community tab on my channel. So, what do you guys want to see me do for Halloween? And then I gave them like some pictures of different things, and so they could choose. And so the solo camping one, you know, because I was gonna go like rent like Yellow Dog Village or, you know, whatever, you know, some cool thing, you know what I mean, that we could go and explore. And they wanted me to solo camp, so I'm like, okay, I'll do it. It's gonna be scary, but I'll do it.
Did you get any
And
sleep that night?
when I was walking down the trail, first of all, you have to walk down like this road, and it's like a quarter mile before you even get to the trail, and that's scary enough, right? In the dark. And then as soon as I got on the trail and started walking down the trail, I could see a flashlight like way down the trail.
Oh,
I think it was a flashlight. And like, so I went back. I'm like, let me get my wits together. Do I really want to do this? You know? But
yeah.
there's camping along that trail, primitive camping. So okay, I decided let's go do it, because I'd just gone live, you know, prior to this.
Right.
So it's like, I can't get out of this, you know, I can't get out of this now. So I walked, you know, I kept walking back, you know, I walked back towards where it was, and it was gone. So I was like, okay, well, it could have been like a camper, and no big deal, you know what I mean?
Right.
And then so I went and set up my tent. It took me like a long time. I could not find like any camp spots because the trail splits off so much. And the ranger had told me like 2 days prior that these were going to be pretty, you know, there's signs, and I didn't see any signs. And I'd been walking for a long, you know, what seems like a long time. By the time I got my tent set up, it was like 3 a.m. And then somebody with a flashlight walked by my tent, and I'm like, I don't feel safe here anymore. It's like November, bro. Like, I should be the only one out here doing this shit, you know? So I kind of like, he left, and then I kind of just like packed up and left. But I wanted to do it, you know, and
good on you, man.
I'm glad I did it, you know?
Totally.
I can't make videos about this stuff and not do it myself, you know? I want to kind of experience that too for myself. So
100%. That's what it's all about.
yeah.
If this shit actually paid us money, we'd all be millionaires. You know what I mean? Much work as we've all put in on it, but
YouTube is a lot of work, bro.
It's a lot of work.
Job.
It is totally, man. I mean, and you got to think about the viewer too. You got to give them what they want to, you know, what they want to see. You know,
right?
And if they want to see you go do a solo, and they call you out for doing, you know, Fear, you're like, well, you always talk about others. Why don't you go do it? Well,
yeah.
And good on you. You owned up and you went and did it. That's the
the people on my channel are so cool. You know, they support my channel like nothing I've ever seen. I mean, I'm so thankful that they're there. I will respond to every comment. You
Yeah.
know, I'll talk to them. I'll talk, you know, I go live for them. You know, I want to speak to these people and get to know them. And, you know, I don't want to disappoint anybody because, you know, I feel like I feel a responsibility to them. You know what I mean? In a way,
Oh,
I feel like, um, you know, if you're going to support me and talk to me and join my members, and you know, I want to do, you know, I want you to have a good time on my channel. So, you know, and I talk to them in community tab all the time too. I'm always updating stuff. So
your
I love those. I
commentary,
love
man.
them.
Your commentary is great too, dude.
No, thanks.
That's one thing I even said it in the last podcast. I got to laughing
It's pretty
about.
dry sometimes.
Yeah, you were like, I even have the video here. It's like where you're talking about like something about like Deez was already here.
Oh yeah, yeah.
I was like,
These nuts is on the
oh,
wall.
he did it. He did it. Piece
You
of shit. That's awesome.
know, he's a little toasty thing from Mortal Kombat.
Yeah. Whoopsie.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Let's see. We went over the gear and whatnot. What would be so out of all the videos you've watched, out of all the explorer videos, the camping videos, these urban explorers that go into these buildings, what is your what would be your advice for them?
Well,
If you have any, and if you know,
yeah.
whatever.
Well, I'm always amazed that when people go into these places alone, because it's so you never know who's going to be in there. I tell Bear this all the time because he goes into places by himself all the time. You know, he's probably carrying something, but you don't want to get into that. You know what I mean? You don't want to get into some kind of scuffle with somebody and, you know, and have something go down because then you're going to be responsible for that, you know?
Yep.
So you just have to be very careful. I would definitely maybe sit outside the building, walk around it for a little bit, just to make sure that there's nobody in there, because you could probably see the flashlights. You know, I'm assuming if someone was in there. If they're in the dark, then you know that's a different story. But you just have to be very careful going in there to places like that alone. I would tell them to go with someone else, but sometimes that's not an option. I think for these YouTubers who want to, you know, show people that they're brave and they want to do this solo stuff. So just be careful.
I'd love for Fear Fanatics. I'd love for you to do an episode on our lockdown episode that's on YouTube. And anybody watching, go check that out. That's still our holy grail. That's
the lockdown episode. Where were you?
So we're at Platinum Music Complex, which is in North Richland Hills, Texas. But it was originally the North Richland Hills PD. And so what brought all this on was that my grandfather was the first police chief of Richland Hills, which is the neighbor. And then North Richland Hills came later in 1960. And the original jail is still in there. And the owner, Dwayne, kept telling me about how they had like voice phenomena going on. Like one night, the manager, there was nobody there. This is when they were first building all it is now is like rehearsal spaces for bands and recording studios and podcast rooms and all this stuff. Big live room, but they've kept the jail completely in its original state intact. And
pretty cool.
Him and his manager were saying that one night they were closing up and they were getting things, you know, closed down for the day. It was pretty late and they heard like a girl screaming like she was being hurt. And they ran out in the hallways and it's just door.
Right.
I mean, it's just doors everywhere. Right. And they tracked it down and it was coming through this little, it's like the little hole that you talk through the window. Where you like can see the inmate on the other, like the inmates on the other side.
Oh yeah.
And they could hear the sound of the girl coming through that. So they're like, oh my God, it's in the jail. You know, like they had to go get the keys for it. And it's two big double doors and they get in there and the screaming stops.
Right.
I'm like,
and there's nobody there.
That's a pretty pretty far out there claim, you know, for it to be going on that long.
Right.
I think like real time, you think, man, they had to find it. They found it. Then they had to go upstairs and get keys and they had to come back. So I'm asking Presley, his guy, I'm like, so what happened? And they're like, well, nothing. We don't know what it is. And they had paper in there moving off, like getting blown off onto the ground, and they had a couple like knocks and bangs and this and that. And I was like, all right, well, you know what, we'll go in and do an investigation. And so we go in, and it took us a couple times to get it down because there's bands and they're rehearsing constantly.
Oh yeah.
So your audio is fucked, like
Even late night.
all night,
24/7.
Right.
24/7. This thing's
Oh
open.
wow.
So we had to go on like a night that it was going to be, nobody there, or just a little bit amount, not near the room, because it's huge. It's a huge place.
Yeah.
3 stories tall. It's enormous. And we finally got a night on a Monday. We were like, okay, this is it. Let's go. Like, so we went down there, loaded in, we set up static cams and in each of the jail rooms, and then we use nothing but trigger objects. So it's either motion censored, or it has to be touched, or it's audio. We use a SB11 spirit box, and we got way more. Even in the video, as you're watching, you can even see us say like, man, I even say something along the lines of like, man, this place is bullshit. Like, we're not getting anything. Like,
Yeah,
we didn't think we were catching anything.
Right.
We weren't having anything really happen. And then just this one big thing, down towards the end of the video, we're sitting in the officers' quarters going back and forth, and it's pitch black in there. It's pitch black. Got all the lights off. The only ambient light you got's coming off our little LCD screens. And through this doorway, I see a face come in from, let's see on the screen here. How can I do this over here? Nope, this is weird. I can't do this.
Yeah,
It's not mirrored, but it like
You're right.
pops in from the bottom of the window.
Yeah.
And I'm like, Craig, I just saw a fucking face. I just saw somebody peek through that window
Next to me.
next to him. And
What's on the other side of the window?
a kitchen.
Okay, so
It's
they would have
part
to
of
have
it.
been inside the building.
Well, not only would it had to be inside the building, but they would have had to come through 2 massive jail doors to get in there. We're talking
gotcha.
big, thick, like really thick doors. Takes a huge key to get in, and you can hear that when you put the key in,
Yeah.
a really loud noise when you turn it, and then it's spring loaded. So as soon as you pull the key out, it locks immediately, right?
Okay.
So there's 2 of those you got to go through before you get into the jail. And then there's no other entry. It's one way in, one way out.
Right.
We've got this place on lockdown, literally.
Did you run in there? Like, let's go see what's going on?
I froze.
Yeah.
I was trying to figure out, I'm trying to figure out how the fuck did this happen? Who got it? How did they get in here? Then the second part is safety. I'm like, are we okay?
Yeah.
I'm thinking like, well, I know it's not Dwayne, and I know it's not Presley, and I know it's not any of the crew, and I'm holding the keys. The keys are in my pocket.
Yeah.
I know it's not Craig. This place is not that big. The jail's not that big. You have an officer's quarters, a kitchen, 2 offices, an interview room, and then a men's ward and a women's ward. And then there's like a common ground in the middle. So I'm like,
it does cross your mind. Like, could there be somebody that snuck in here? You know what I mean?
Totally.
Without us knowing. That
100%.
always crosses my mind when I'm at like Post Town, like, are we here
you're
alone?
thinking, how? And where would they hide? It's all open.
Yeah.
There's nowhere to hide. Like everything, you can see everything. So there's no like closet for them.
We also just came from the kitchen.
Yeah, we were just in the kitchen, and then we shifted to the garden. So I'm like, we were just in there.
That's even weird. That's even more strange.
There's probably
And I
about
felt like something was holding my arm when we were in the kitchen, like
Really?
right here.
yeah.
Yeah, my arm was ice cold right there, but the rest of it was warm.
So we see this thing happen, and the thing that fucked me up was when we saw it. The way the face looked,
Mhm.
it happened. I could see the glow of the IR light on the face. Like, like when an IR shines on your face.
Yeah.
Well, I'm seeing this with my natural eye. Like it was glowing, but not.
Right. Like
And it
white,
was
you mean?
It was so fast. Like it was just like boop, boop. And I wouldn't have seen it had I not been looking at Craig, and it had not been pitch, it was pitch black in there. So to capture this shit happen, blew my fucking mind. And so, of course, we get done and I go back to the house and haul ass and get home, pull up that footage and get straight
2
to that
minutes.
point. I mean, yeah, I live like 3 blocks away from this place and pop in the studio in here, put it up on the computer, fast forward to this part, and I immediately call Craig and I'm like, dude, you are not going to fucking believe this. Look at this shit.
So
and
you can see it.
I FaceTimed him and was like,
Yeah.
I'm holding it up to the screen, like, and this face pops in and he's like, holy shit. I'm like, we caught a little girl. It looks like a little girl. A little, I mean, she had to be fucking 4 foot tall because you see in the window, like,
yeah,
her face, and it's like briefly.
I gotta go watch that video now,
dude. And then going back, looking at all the footage from all night, we had so much shit going on around us, being caught on audio, being caught out of the spirit box. We caught another face that was like right here, and it was on the wall behind me, and it just stays there the whole time. And then it starts to become like 2 faces over time. You'll see like 2 of them mimicking.
Yeah.
And I'm like, so after we edit all this down and we get everything raw put together and we go to do the commentary, and of course Craig and I have seen the footage 100 times. I'm just looking at Craig going, what the fuck do we do now? Like this is what we set out to find. Like, we found it. There's no need to go asbestos hunting in a fucking building. Like, we got it.
Yeah.
This is it. You know, and I've said it 1,000 times. I'll say it 1,000 times again. I don't really give a shit if anybody believes me or not.
Yeah.
It just is what it is. And it happened. Did it happen the way we wanted it to happen? No. Did it, you know, is this a scene out of Ghostbusters 1 where she was reading books in the library? No. You know, it's just.
Right.
You know, so.
Sometimes you can't like explain like and you don't see things happening because at Post Town, there's some very clear like orbs that were floating above my buddy's head, and like it literally came out of the light fixture and then like went that way above his head, and you don't see those things while you're there, but you might not see a lot of that stuff that's happening to you until you watch the footage back.
Right. That definitely happened. I thought all our other episodes were, I mean, out of all the shit we shot, these were the things that made the cut, and I thought they were great, but until that, I was just like, because we shot shit after that was early on in the season that we knew that lockdown was the episode. You know what I mean? And what's funny is we haven't even pushed it hardly, since we put it on YouTube. We just let it naturally go.
Right.
I think it's still only sitting at like, I don't know, maybe a couple hundred views.
Do you have another channel, or is this your only channel?
We have Paratheory. And we were on Paraflix for a while.
Okay.
And when we first started going where we were going to put this up on something, we got approached by Paraflix, and we went with Paraflix. And then after this season, we decided, you know what, man, we don't care about the money part of it. We care about the views. We want people to see it.
Yeah, exactly.
And you put in a lot of hard work. You want the viewer to see it. And they just
100%.
They didn't have the reach that we were looking for. And so it was like, well, let's go to YouTube. Let's just put it. That's where we started. Because we released 2 episodes. We had the Cranfield House, and we had what was it? The bar.
Crazy Eights.
Crazy Eights. Yeah, the Crazy 8 bar. Where they had the notorious bottle fly off the shelf, and in Mineral Wells. And then it was, after that episode, we went and put everything over at Paraflix, and then we pulled it back and we said, screw that, we're putting it on YouTube, let it be seen.
Right.
And yeah, man, it's a hell of a journey. Why we all do this, I guess we'll all just continue to keep going.
You feel passionate about it, so you're kind of compelled to do it, and make it better the next week than you did the week before.
Yeah, well, yes, and at the same time, it's like we've even talked about changing some stuff around now to where we're gonna, it's not all about ghost hunting, now what I love to go to Ireland and go spend the night in some of these 4,000-year-old castles.
Yeah, that'd be amazing.
Absolutely. But
I don't feel like you should get pigeonholed into doing one thing on YouTube.
no,
You can do whatever you want. Like,
totally.
do all kinds of different things. It just expands your channel out, makes it a little bit more interesting, I think, for people. Get you a wider audience, maybe.
100%. Totally.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, hence the podcast. That's what this is all about.
Right.
Get to interview guys like you and talk about these experiences, man. If people have questions, they can leave them in the comments. We'd love to
Right.
answer them.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
It's just an open window. We got another guest coming on. I think it's next Monday or the Monday after. But Brittany Bickett, she's been on several shows. She's kind of just bounced from all these different shows, but through Paraflix and YouTube, etc. And she's a psychic medium, and it's going to be really interesting to to talk with her about her experiences.
Yeah, that would be cool.
She's been through. We're trying to get Nick Groff on here. We did get an answer back from him, so I'm kind of hoping that lands.
Yeah,
because
he seems like a really cool guy.
He does. I just don't want to be the dude that's like, so what happened with Ghost Adventures?
Yeah, exactly.
I don't want to be that.
Probably tired of talking about that.
Oh, sure. I'd rather know about some of the stuff he's doing with Deathwalker because it's fucking intense.
I was watching his show too. I like that show that he had on. I don't remember what channel it was on.
His geophone that he uses is one of like Huff Paranormal's first geophones.
Oh, really?
And man, that thing is, you talk about something hard to get your hands on, because Huff only makes like 20 maybe devices like in a year, and then he sells them, and then that's it. No more. So to get his geophone stuff like that, man, like you're also gonna spend $2 or $3 grand. God, your dog is just like, Dad, love me.
I know.
What's going on? What's up, buddy?
He was on the floor like,
what are we? What are we talking about? Let me look this. I have a German Shepherd named Ava.
Oh, do you?
Yeah, she's a silver and sable.
Nice.
Yeah. So, but
she's a sable.
The same way. Yeah. Well, dude. So what's the plan for Fear Fanatics? What do you got coming up? You got anything big coming up around the corner?
I did. Well, I've got another top 5 video coming out here probably in the next couple of days, and then I do have a couple of videos that every once in a while we'll jump in the RV and go down to like wherever. I haven't ventured too far out of Ohio or Kentucky or Indiana yet, but in the long run, I think that would be the plan, to go to other places like further away. But we went in October down to West Virginia to Point Pleasant, and to kind of doing like a little Mothman hunt, and we went to the TNT igloos, and that was pretty freaky. And but the people there are so friendly that we drive down this really long, I mean it's like a couple miles long gravel road, and you kind of just pull over and park, and you can just stay there all night, and then no matter where you go through the forest, you're going to run into some of these igloos that they used to store this TNT in, and they're big domes in the middle of the woods, and like they're just pretty scary looking. And then you walk in, and like I could be standing 3 feet from you and talking to you, and you wouldn't be able to understand what I'm saying very well, because the echo is just bouncing everywhere, and it's like you can't really communicate with each other unless you get right up in someone's ear, so they're pretty cool. It's a pretty cool place to go, and I guess that's where the first Mothman sighting was back in the 60s. So we did a video there, and what's funny about that place is that when you walk down, and you're on your way to these igloos, you shine your flashlight into the woods. People think it's funny to go into the woods and put these big red reflectors on these trees. So Mothman's eye is supposed to be red, so you'll be walking and like looking, and then, oh shit, this Mothman, he's looking right at us.
Oh, man.
And then we go into the woods, and it's just some reflectors, but they're all over the place, bro. Someone was having fun with that. But then we also went like Bigfoot hunting up in Hocking Hills, Ohio, and on this 75-acre property, and I mean that was really fun. So I went to the Moonville Tunnel, which is like a haunted. There used to be a town there back in the day, and then for whatever reason it got all torn down. But there's a tunnel there where they used to that was like their main road, I guess, and it led to this tunnel that they would go through, and above a train track, beneath the train track. I'm sorry. So it's supposed to be haunted. So we went there and made a video too. So I've got those 2 videos coming out. probably soon. I haven't been concentrating on that because I got a sponsor on my channel,
There we go.
and they sent me some, some products that I had to wear, and so I put the other videos on the back burner for now until I could get these sponsor videos, taken care of. So I got 2 more of those to do, and then I'll get back to the post the stuff from October. But in between all that stuff, I'll be doing like top 5 videos because people really love those top 5 videos,
Yeah, man, they're great.
But I'm trying to put myself out there as well, a little bit more.
Totally. Well, I mean, hence here we are.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's not, I didn't want to investigate investigate. I didn't want to talk to the guy that was in the video.
Right.
I want to talk to the dude that was, creating the video to make the, to show the video. Like that's the cool part, is how, like, that guy's seen one thing. How many fucking things have you seen going through?
Yeah.
That's awesome. So, man,
I'll send you one I watched last night. Hey, I think it's like the number 5 or number 4 from the most terrifying camping videos. And I guess, is it a father and son that are camping on like in an RV, and then they come across this old cabin and it's got like
mannequins
everywhere.
Yeah, it was like him and his daughter, him and his daughter, and they were like walking down this road, and they came across this property, and it looked all abandoned, but there's like he's got like just mannequins everywhere, and they're all like dressed in like weird outfits, and like there's spray paint everywhere, and it's very creepy looking. And so they take off running. They don't think they wanted to like investigate any further. I don't think I would either. Mannequins are scary, dude. So they did the right thing by leaving, I think. That's a weird video.
I bet neither one of them were packing either, but it doesn't matter.
No.
We talked about that on the last show too. It was talking about like, okay, well, even if you are packing, you're breaking and entering, and you're going into a place without permission. So
right.
if a homeless dude does attack you and you shoot him out of self-defense, you're still in trouble, because
you're still going to be in all kinds of shit.
B&E and murder. It's not self-defense when you're breaking, entering, or trespassing.
Yeah.
So sure. Word to the explorers out there, man, go just do the right thing, get the permission, then go have fun.
Right.
Usually
they don't. They don't. From what maybe some do, but
have you seen that? I think you had one on one of your episodes. Is there was, I think it's in the UK, and some a group of a girl and 2 guys or whatever, they're exploring this old house, and they're going through this old home, and they get upstairs, and they're in this bedroom, and there's a walker as soon as they come in the bed, and then there's a lady laying in the bed.
Yeah, she's in bed sleeping.
I've seen that video on a couple different explorations, and it ends up like she lives there, and there's a ranch hand up the road that comes down and like still brings her supplies and stuff, but it's still like, dude, hoarders look like they just abandoned a place anyway.
Yeah.
And then we don't know the story on this chick. Like, good Lord.
Yeah, I don't know that was her house. I don't. If I had to guess, I'd say that probably wasn't her house. I'm not sure, but
well, there's another one where same kind of deal, and it's talking about that video. It's the people that shot it,
right?
And they're talking about how they stayed and talked with her for a while, and there's a guy that lives on the property like way back behind them, and he's well aware that she's living there.
Oh, gotcha.
Not her house, but she's living there.
Okay.
She's homeless, and she's elderly, and that
he kind of just takes care of her.
He takes care of her, right? So he brings her down supplies. So that's why when they walked in the room, like all that supply was laying there, like he lets her stay there.
Yeah, if you watch the video, when they walk into the room, like she's got like a shopping cart and like a little suitcase, and it's like, they should have realized that from that moment, but they didn't really give it too much thought, I guess.
I don't think a lot of the urban explorers, or just explorers in general, I think a lot of them go out for the YouTube view, which is whatever, but at the same time, it's like you need to have a little bit of street smarts when you go into it. It's like what was one of the videos was like this dude was down in some sort of huge urban building, and it's just him by himself, and he gets down there and he turns the corner, and there's a guy like crouched down in the corner staring at the wall. It's like, leave,
right?
Get the fuck out.
I think I know what video you're talking about.
Don't stick around. And then he thinks to himself like, man, I'm gonna help the guy out and be nice and take him $20, and he goes back to give him money, and the guy's gone. Okay, man, that's strike 2. Like, okay, he's gone. You don't know where he's at now.
Yeah.
Now what? And then as he's he just decides, well, okay, well, I guess I'm just going to investigate the rest of the building. And then as he's walking, this dude's like standing off in corners, and he's catching it later on in his camera.
He didn't realize.
He didn't realize this dude's just following him through there.
Yeah.
Like,
I did see another video like that. This kid was by himself, and he was doing like a little investigation, and he left his GoPro in this room, and then he leaves to go upstairs, and then, but as he's turning the corner, and then the steps are right there, so he just like turns and goes up. You can see someone standing back there in the corner. It's very creepy. He didn't see it until like it was like after the fact, but how scary would that be? Like knowing someone was in there watching you. You had no idea that anybody was even in there. Now that video where the lady was sleeping in the bed, that was daytime. Like think of how terrifying that would have been at nighttime if they had like, you know, if she had sat up in the bed at nighttime, you know, and startled them that way.
You ever look at that dude that I can't remember his name. God, he's over in Japan. He goes to some of these big mansions that are in Japan.
I know who you're talking about.
You know what I'm talking about? He goes into this one, and it's left behind by some guy that went bankrupt or whatever, but it's a huge gaudy mansion, and it's got all these statues in it still, and like the bed's still there. And I'm just thinking about like, all right, bro, first of all, you're not from Japan. 2, you're in a foreign country. 3, you're in a foreign country just breaking into this thing. And as nice as, I don't know if you've ever dealt with Japanese people like in their home, but they're like very nice. They're very nice people.
They're very polite.
Very polite. But if you piss them off, they have no problem pouring gasoline on a fire. Like they'll just do it, you know, because they would rather get rid of you.
Right.
And I see shit like that all the time, and I'm just like, man, the only thing terrifying about this video is that you're in there illegally, and God help you if something happens, because no one wants to see anybody get hurt.
Right.
But you never know.
Not that you would ever see that footage.
No, right. You wouldn't see that footage. You know, I think that's the footage we're waiting on to see is like, well, this happens when you get popped.
I think that's what everybody's waiting on. You know, I was waiting. They're like, oh, well, nothing really happens in this video. Well, it's you know, it did, but like, you know, do you want someone to get hurt? You know, what are you waiting to see on my channel?
Right.
You know, I don't show stuff like that. It's suspense, you know?
It is. I think even with the camping stuff, I think I would like to see, you know, kind of treat it like a paranormal investigation. Get the right cameras to do night vision, you know, to have up that IR spotlight running on a battery daddy or something like that, to have it running through the night. I think it was on your channel too. There was one where there was one guy, or 2 guys, they're in a tent, and they had one static cam set up outside the tent, and it ended up catching a dude fucking walking up the woods.
Yeah, and then he turned around and left. Or did he throw something at the tent or something?
He threw something at the tent. Yeah. I was just sitting there going, well, first of all, we don't camp in Texas because everything down here is trying to fucking stick you, flick you, kill you. Like it's, you know, you don't want to sleep on the ground.
Same in Florida. I'm not from Florida, but I've been to Florida. I lived in Florida for a year, and I wouldn't want to go camping in Florida.
No. And so the Texan in me is the guy that's always carrying a gun. Like I would be like, well, if I'm out in the woods and it's legal, and some dude walks up and taps on my tent at night, I'm gonna treat it exactly like my doors. Knocks on my door at 3 o'clock in the morning. Don't be happy with what gets answered. You know what I mean? Yeah. And that's what I think. You know, protect yourself. Maybe going out trying to find answers, but good God, protect yourself, man.
There's some horror stories, like legit, like solo camping horror stories out there.
Yeah.
I remember seeing one before I started my channel, and it kind of like, in a morbid sort of way, inspired me to do the creepy camping videos. It was about a guy from France. He was doing a solo cycle across Canada down towards like Washington, and then he was gonna, you know, bicycle across the U.S. towards the east, and then go back up into Canada. He stopped at this little city. I don't. It's like a little town. I don't even know the name of it, but he ended up camping, and there was nobody there at the camp ground. He kind of just pulled in. Excuse me. He kind of just pulled in and just made his camp for the night. Apparently, someone saw that he was gonna camp there. There was 3 guys, I guess. I saw him. They noticed him, and they thought, okay, this guy's, obviously got some money if he's solo camping across the country or something. So they went and murdered him in his tent, bro. That was like a very disturbing crime scene photo. On this documentary that they showed, it was raining, and it was like he was alone, and he didn't speak English, and it was just what a nightmare. And
that's also a wake-up call to those backpack and those who venture out across the world. Like, not everything is a safe place.
It could happen to you. You're going to go out and do this kind of stuff. It could happen to you. And I feel like people want to live vicariously through those people that are brave enough to do that. And they want to see you and what your response would be if something did happen to you,
Right.
So I feel like that's why those camping videos are so popular, because they really, really are popular on my channel. People love them.
Totally, man. I mean,
and that video sat there. My first video sat there for about 8 months, and I thought, okay, well, I kept making videos. We talked about it earlier in the show. I kept making videos, but then after 8 months, and that video took off. It just out of nowhere, it just took off. Yeah. And then that video got me monetized, and it got 1,000 subs for me, and then it got me my watch hours, 4,000 hours of watch time.
Yeah.
From that one video, my first video.
Yeah.
And it's just crazy how people they love that camping, the creepy camping stuff, man.
Yeah. Totally.
I enjoy it. I enjoy watching it too.
What was that, Chris?
That story he just told about the camper, about backpacking and all that. Yeah. That explains a lot about why you were so uneasy with that guy walking by your tent.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, whenever.
And he does have a big old pig sticker with him. He's got a huge knife he carries. I saw that. I was like, okay, at least he's got something to shank somebody if they come near.
Oh yeah, him. I do. I bought that. Like before we went to West Virginia, I'm like, I'm gonna get one of these big. it's like huge.
There was another one where these kids there's 2 guys, and it's kind of raining, so they're in the tent, and they couldn't have a fire, and they're sitting in there, and they hear something walk up outside the tent, and it taps the tent, and the one guy looks at the other one and goes, do we have the knife? And he goes, it's in the car. And he goes,
oh no.
Do we have the gun? Or no, he said, do we have a gun? And he goes,
yeah,
it's in the car. And he goes, shit. He goes, do we have the knife? He goes, also in the car. And he's like,
wow.
Okay, well, what do we do now? And he's like, I think it was something like they just yelled and made a bunch of noise. Like, we're coming out.
Yeah.
Like that, like make yourself like the bear theory, make yourself bigger than the bear.
Well, yeah, but
you're in a tent.
That's crazy.
One way out.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh man.
One of my first videos that I did about he was a solo camping. He was in the back he was in his truck, but he was in the back part of his truck. It had a cap on it, and the guy was trying to get in the back of his car.
Yeah.
And he was recording. He doesn't have a way out. Like, you're stuck in there, buddy. I don't know if he had anything or not, but you're pretty much stuck in there until he goes away, because otherwise your only option is to go out and confront the guy.
Even
you don't know who that is.
These dudes that have these big ass fucking like transits and sprinters and whatnot. I was watching one the other night about this dude that was he's a solo camper, but he had a partner. They were like 3 trucks. They all parked. They're on the side of this mountain. It's got a huge, gorgeous view. Mm-hmm. It's snowing outside. It's like 2-3 foot of snow on the ground. And in the middle of the night, there's somebody outside tapping on the vehicle. And when he got out, he turned all the lights on, and it scared him off. And they went out and got in their car and drove off. And then he got out on his one side and went out there and filmed him. And you could see the car like taking off. But on the driver's side, the door, where on the other side, there's still a double door that opens. They had zip tied it shut. So they forced it to go out one way if you were going to come out. You know what I mean? And I'm just sitting there thinking, like, there again, that's different, because first of all, you're in what is an RV safe space, right? Like, you're in your vehicle and you're locked down right now. Somebody comes up to your vehicle and you're camping legitimately. All right, well, then self-protection does kick in. So in a court of law, you are protected. The Second Amendment.
Yeah, because you're in your car.
Because you're in your vehicle. Right. So it's like a domicile. It's your castle law, if you will.
Yeah.
In some states, that doesn't apply. No, I don't. I don't think it applies in like Colorado, um, uh, Arizona. I'm not too sure exactly where Castle, but if you're camping and you're in your vehicle, then it does apply. If you're sleeping in your vehicle, it's for protection. And so
I think I featured a video like that on similar. Are you talking about the video that was on my channel, like on one of my videos, or was it 3 different people? This guy was alone and he was in his camper van, and they zip tied
the handle. Yes. Okay, that's the one I'm talking about.
Yeah, that's pretty crazy. And it looked like they were also messing with his gas cap, and I thought, you're lucky they didn't set you on fire, bro. You know.
Well, or try and
like, what were you doing?
Yeah.
Something, but scary situation nonetheless.
I think if you're going to be in a situation where you're going to buy a Sprinter or a Transit or whatever, Freightliner, and you're going to go out and camp, if you're going to spend that kind of money to have an $80,000-$90,000 vehicle like that, then spend the money to get 360 cams put all the way around it.
Yeah, right.
Intercom, even something comes up and starts knocking on your door, be able to pull that up on a 4-way screen, get on a mic and be like, hey, I'm in here. What do you need?
Yeah.
Can I talk to you?
Flip some floodlights on, man.
Say some big spotlights on it.
Yeah, heck yeah.
Like Pantera, man. I don't have a picture of it, but I've got a van that our band tours in, and on the top of it and all the way around it, I've got floodlights.
Yeah.
But I do that because when we're out working these shows that are at night, we need sometimes we're playing a festival. I need to see where the hell I'm backing into, this and that. But the floodlights, the bar I've got on the top of it, man, it's like 60, I can't remember what it is, 60 million candle watt. It'll light up a half mile. Like you can, I mean, you can see bugs giving birth.
Definitely see what you're doing.
Yeah. No, but that's a total cool move, is to have that on there, just to light it up.
Yeah.
All the way around. Now this dude's like on camera.
Yeah.
Maybe you'll save somebody else's life from getting hurt because you'll be able to see this dude.
Right.
A lot of cameras, these security cameras that catch guys walking up the doorbells and stuff, it's like their face is blurred out, it's pixelated. It's like,
throw a big spotlight up though, and you've got a camera going, you're going to see exactly what they look like, most likely.
Absolutely. Totally. In color.
Yeah.
Without a doubt. Doug, man, it's been a pleasure having you on the show.
Well, thanks for having me, man.
Yeah. If you have any questions for us whatsoever, fire away.
What are you guys planning on doing next? What's your next video as far as like investigation wise? Do you have anything planned out?
We've talked about doing a couple things. We got a really cool audio idea. We talked about it on a show prior to this.
Yeah.
And so I've been doing music my entire life, and Craig has been doing film and photography, etc.
I see all the your guitars back there.
Oh yeah.
I noticed those earlier. Yeah.
I do a lot of writing for bands. I play in a band called Justin Ross and Deadwood Revival.
Mm-hmm.
But I've been working the production side of it for 20 years plus. And we had an idea about, going back to the spirit box.
Mm-hmm.
Every time that we've gotten answers on that, it seems to be like it's coming, that that thing's shifting through RF radio frequencies, going back and forth, and then it picks on the talk through, and it's coming through on that signal, and usually it's pretty spiked when it comes through. So I think we're going to try and do is we're going to try and set up a location that we've done before, that we know has high EVPs, and we're going to put high condenser mics in every room. And then from the center of the place, we're going to set up a big QSE powered speaker, and we're going to run what would be called pink noise, white noise, and we're going to run it up to a unity level. So this way on a console, we can see like channel 1 would be living room, channel 2 would be kitchen, channel 3 would be bedroom 1.
Right.
Then all those mics that are in those rooms, we'll be able to boost the gain on those mics to where it's picking up that sound from the living room. So the whole house, every room that's in there is covered for microphones. And then we're going to watch on an RTA and start asking questions through that speaker and seeing if we can get responses, and watching the lines come through. And if we can see where it spikes at and what they're using, and see if it's repetitive or not. But if we can pull that up, maybe we can zero down. So like if it's at, uh, 300K, we can zero in on 300K, and then we can boost that level of 300K.
Mhm.
The goal, the theory behind it is trying to capture a way for us to make clearer connection with what is using RF frequency to talk through.
Right.
So just like if you take something in and you're trying to boost the energy in the room for EMF fields, we're going to try and boost the RF field in that room for them to have something clear to talk to. So if we can figure out a way to do that, so that's something we're going to try, see if that works. Trying to get some theories on different things. And I think going out, there's some stuff in Texas. It's like the ants and lights, some stuff that is phenomena that happens that nobody's really been, I mean, everybody from all the way back in the early 90s, what was that show? Unsolved Mysteries. They went out to the ants and lights and tried to figure it out. Abilene Christian University goes out there every year and tries to figure out what's
that the long road where you can see lights at the end of the road. Yeah.
And I've seen it. Cool. I've been out there 4 times, seen it every time. It's a little ball of light that shows up. It gets closer and closer and closer to you, and then it just turns off like a flashlight. And nobody's been able to figure it out. So I figured, let's go give that a shot and shoot it in HD and, see what we can come up with.
You should do that, because that would be an interesting video to watch. I would definitely want to watch that. I've seen that on another show before. I just don't remember what the show it was.
And there's been a ton of shows that have tried to do it. The one thing all these shows have in common that I haven't seen anybody try is staggering cameras down this road. Like one from the front, they put one from the back, and then they shoot.
Yeah.
And they capture the one from the front. They never capture it from the back. So
I think because maybe they don't know how far back to go,
Well, from judging from where it comes into play, it's crossroad is at because you can see the light shine onto the road as it crosses over.
Gotcha.
So that's that's this line, and then we're here, and then stagger cameras all the way to the road to see if we can get it from the sides shooting in, and because you'll know when it gets 40 feet from you, it's right. And then it turns. It's like somebody carrying a lantern.
Right.
It looks like an old lantern being carried like this, and it's swinging.
I'd heard the theory that it was like a car like coming over a hill, and then it would go down the hill. And I don't know. I didn't. That's a car is what they were trying to say it was, but I don't.
West Texas is flat. Like you can watch it away for 5 days out there. There's no hill. Like it's flat.
Okay.
So it's just flat land and cotton fields out there. So there's no hill, there's no bridge.
Kind of unexplainable.
It's really just what is this?
Yeah. That'd be cool to see.
But yeah, that's kind of the goal. Just some of those theories we're gonna try to just play off on the Paratheory name, kind of show that. And you know what, man, we might give you a call. We're trying to put together something pretty big. I don't want to say what it is just yet.
Yeah.
But we have a complete town here in Texas that we've talked about several times. And what I'd like to do is have guys like you come out and be a part of it. And
that'd be awesome.
One gigantic investigation with some of the top name players to be involved.
Right.
And it'll be one gigantic crosscast for everybody. We invite everybody to use their YouTube pages, the whole night, but it's going to be to put everybody in one big spot across an entire, fuck it. Let's just say it. Jefferson, Texas.
Yeah.
Is the most haunted town in Texas.
You heard it here first, folks.
And it is terrifying out there.
So it's abandoned?
No.
Okay.
This is the best part. So we have an in with the city, right? And we've been in talks over the past 2 years with this guy, Jeff, that's in with the city. And it's a matter of getting this final meeting to sit down with the board. And there's several buildings that are all through there that are habitated. They have people living there. There's hotels, there's restaurants, and so I want to put a team in each one all the way down, then have a master station with us included, but solo. Yeah. Everybody's on a solo, no team,
right?
Solo. Like I'm trying to get Project Fear involved. I'd like to get Omar Gosh involved.
Yeah.
I want to get several involved in this thing, but everybody's on a solo. And the whole place will be wired with static cams. We'll have CCTVs going on in every place, but everybody does their own 72-hour investigation. Food, everything will be provided, that whole nine. We'll have breaks in there where people come out, but it's going to be 72 hours each, everybody in and investigate. And it's everything from the old church out there that's been not condemned, but it's been completely shut down for any business. That's the big, we have to get waivers signed on that because it was tons of demonic activity going on in that.
That's a long investigation. Like 72 hours.
72 hours, man.
Yeah, that's a long one.
That'll be big.
That'd be fun. I've never been to Texas, but I've always wanted to go to Texas.
Yeah.
That'd be cool.
It's got its spots, man. It's got its spots. And, you know, and I'm not scared to say it either, man. There are some phony ones out there that we know of that are just like, we've even talking about that on a podcast show. It was like, don't go to these places.
Yeah.
You're just getting ripped off. You know, someone, I ain't got anything. What are you going to do? Take away my YouTube channel?
Yeah.
Don't waste your money.
Yeah. They're just trying to make some, you know,
some money
off of off a location.
I'd be interested to see what your comments are about lockdown or any of the episodes. But for that,
I'm definitely gonna watch that video.
Yeah, I wanna see what your take is on that for sure.
Yeah, that'd be cool. Maybe I'll put it on my channel.
Hey, man.
Sure, you guys are okay with that?
Whatever you want, dude.
I always like to ask permission. You know,
dude, it's yours.
Courteous.
Absolutely.
Yeah, thanks.
Well, Doug, man, thank you so much for joining us. You guys, make sure you go over, follow Doug's page, give him some more subs. If you're on, there it is. You got the metal button.
Shameless self-promotion.
Shameless. Let it be. If you're on Doug's channel and you're watching this, man, throw us a subscribe.
Yeah, absolutely.
We haven't quite hit the 3,000 mark yet, but we're trying.
Hey, well, you'll get there.
We're still fresh. We're still new. So thank you guys so much for everything and supporting this channel and everything we do with Pair Theory, man. We can't do it without you guys. So like and subscribe to the page, and we will see you guys soon. Take care out there. Doug, again, thank you so much, sir.
Thank you, guys.
You got it.